My cowboy boots remind me to live the values that this man taught me. This man would wake up every day with a great attitude and a thankful heart. This man is my very own Jewish, immigrant, cowboy grandpa. His parents put him on a boat from Lithuania to America when he was 13 years old to join his older brother who'd immigrated before him. His brother owned a cowboy store in San Antonio, Texas, where my grandfather went to work. A number of years later, when he was a young man, he moved 54 miles south to a small Texas town called Pearsall, where he opened his own cowboy store. Pearsall was clearly divided by railroad tracks, with the white folks living on one side of the tracks and the Hispanic folks on the other. But there was no division in how my grandpa lived life. He believed that everyone deserved to be treated equally, and to him, that meant that everyone had the right to own the best cowboy boots, hats, and jeans, regardless of ability to pay. He kept a small metal box by the cash register where he would write down what people owed him, but he never asked for payment or sent a bill. Because he gave so much away, he never could afford to buy the building that his store was in, so he rented it for 50 years. Then one day, the landlord called and said, "I've sold the building, and you have 2 weeks to get out." My grandpa hung up the phone and had a heart attack. That store was his life. He worked 7 days a week, never taking a vacation that entire 50 years. Word got out, and while he was recovering in the hospital, a man who owned the cinder block grocery store on the other side of the tracks came to his bedside and said, "Mr. Harry, you have been so good to my people that I will move half of my groceries so you can move your store in with mine. I have 8 children, and they will move everything for you, so by the time you've recovered, your store will be set up and ready to go." And without hesitating, my grandpa said, "Deal." In that moment, Mr. Davila gave my grandpa his life back. Okay, oh, and the other man, I got it, okay, thank you. And the man who bought the store, he upgraded it, put in air conditioning, made it all fancy, and opened his own cowboy store. At least he tried to. But for the first time in that small town's history, the white folks crossed the tracks to buy from my grandpa, putting the other man out of business. Eventually, it became a restaurant. Because it was not in my grandpa's DNA to ever retire, his wish was to die with his cowboy boots on in the store that he shared with Mr. Davila. I was 13 when his wish was granted. And just last year, 46 years later, I returned to Pearsall and ate lunch in the exact same spot that I had spent every summer in as a child. I'm sharing the story of my grandpa because I want you to know that his spirit of abundance and generosity informs and inspires my work at the YWCA Pierce County. At the YWCA, we serve domestic violence victims and their families, and all of our services are free of charge. And because domestic violence doesn't discriminate, neither do we. We serve all victims regardless of gender or gender identity. Domestic violence victims don't leave a relationship. They have to escape from the relationship, and often they arrive at our shelter having fled with only the clothes on their back. Some would say that for someone who has nothing, anything is okay. It's good enough. My grandpa wouldn't say so. And what I've learned with my eyes and my heart is that my grandpa is right. When you give somebody something new, their self-esteem soars. They feel valued and proud. And it's even more important when it comes to children. Children want to be just like their peers. That Hello Kitty backpack or those brand name tennis shoes literally levels the playing field. The playground becomes a place to be a part of, rather than isolated from. My motive in sharing my thoughts stems from the 11 years I've worked at the YWCA, where I have seen the good, the bad, and the, "Are you kidding me?" when it comes to what people give our clients. And I have seen it all. While I am deeply grateful for the many wonderful donations we receive, I am equally appalled when we get used dirty underwear, a half-empty bottle of mouthwash, wooden toys that have been chewed on by the family dog, or socks with holes in them. Let's look at a few examples that have been donated in recent months, because seeing is believing. Here we have a pile of hotel samples. So when giving, know your audience. While an overnight shelter might want these, we do not. Our shelter is a 90-day stay. And I don't know about you, but I have a problem with these small bottles. I can barely get the shampoo out, and then it comes out all at once, and then it's gone. What's more annoying is I am practically blind without my glasses. So I simply cannot read the teeny tiny print on these teeny tiny bottles, and once I actually put body lotion on my hair instead of conditioner. And friends, those two products are meant for entirely different purposes. That's what's known as a bad hair day. So a full bottle of shampoo doesn't cost very much, and it lasts for months, not just a day or two. How lovely is that? So I have an idea for you. If you don't want to use these products at home, and you don't know an agency who wants them, leave them in the hotel room, and let's work together to save the environment and the landfill from millions of these pesky small bottles. Today is Earth Day, after all. Here we have a travel kit, compliments of TWA, which stands for Trans World Airlines. For those younger folks in the audience that might not know that because, well, it went out of business in the 90s. Would you want to use toothpaste that was over 25 years old? Food banks deal with old too. You know, those expired cans in our pantries or that mystery food that's missing its label. If you don't want to eat that food, throw it away, because chances are no one else does either. Then go out and buy a jar of peanut butter, or several hundred jars. Food banks love giving clients quality protein. And here we have, yes indeed, it's a sanitary pad from the 80s. Yep. Not only is it old, but technology has changed tremendously in form and function when it comes to this item. So clearly the ladies in the audience know exactly what I'm saying. And the final slide gets the grand prize award for not knowing your audience. One shot, one kill, right to the heart. Do you know that 55% of domestic violence homicides are the result of firearms? Many more victims are threatened with guns. So why would we re-traumatize them with this shirt? Is this shirt appropriate to donate to a domestic violence agency? There's 3 answers. Not now, not ever, and no. So the big question I leave you with tonight, because I want to plant a seed, just like my grandfather planted for me. When you give, is it your purpose and intention to make yourself feel good, or to make the recipient feel good? Because if it's to make the recipient feel good, buy them the exact same thing you would buy yourself or your children. And then just imagine how loved they will feel that a perfect stranger cared about them. Thank you for listening, and thank you for caring.